Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 46th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Disney's number one hater, Jaden,
G'day.
and the new and improved Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hey. Hello.
Can you say a sentence just so people can, for 1 minute, appreciate
sentence?
this? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, go for it. You can be John Cena or...
My name is John Cena. I'm a professional wrestler, and
Yes.
yeah.
And world famous actor.
World famous actor, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. You sound just like him.
Yeah, I know. I got the accent down and everything.
The Doctor of Thugonomics would be proud of you, for sure. All right, for the uninitiated, this is Sarah. Oh, I actually didn't like Fitzy. He's got a new mic. He sounds great.
Yeah.
I just moved on. Yeah. That's what I was talking about, everyone. Anyway, for the uninitiated, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere else where audio podcasts are found. So subscribe, check us out. Much appreciated. And thank you for participating in our Instagram stories poll. We will announce the winner of that at the end of the episode for next week's film. But I mean, you can just, I'm sure you probably already know by just looking at the Instagram maybe, but whatever. Thank you very much for participating. We appreciate that. We'll keep that up every month and it'll be fun. But as always, we'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews, anything for next week's film in the YouTube comment section. We always read those out. But our specific question of the show, as always, is what's your opinion on reality shows and reality TV? Let us know. This is a controversial, divisive, interesting subject to chat about. So let us know what you think and we'll read your responses at the end of next week's episode. This week, we're reviewing Malcolm and Marie, which released on Netflix on February 5th, 2021. We're very fresh on this film right here. It was directed by Sam Levinson. It has a genre of romantic drama, and the synopsis reads, a director and his girlfriend's relationship is tested after they return home from his movie premiere and await critics' responses. So, Sam is he most known for Euphoria? Is that a fair comment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. That's where my understanding of him came from, but very good. So, Jaden, you haven't seen Euphoria, I don't believe, right?
Nah.
Not that it's overly relevant, but I think, interesting things could be said maybe, I don't know. But what do you think of Malcolm and Marie?
I mean, it's a 40-minute movie that's been stretched out for another hour. There's some good moment that's buried under a lot of pretentious garbage. Looks great.
Okay.
And the actors are pretty good, but yeah, I think there's some serious problems.
Cool, Fitzy.
Yeah. I think I mainly agree. I think it's entertaining enough in terms of just the acting and the arguments and stuff, but it doesn't really have much to it. I mean, it's kind of empty, like not much really emotionally registered or anything. And I mean, it was kind of clear Sam was talking about himself through through Washington's character, through Malcolm at times. And yeah, I don't know, it was just kind of a bit of a mess. But I mean, the good parts about the acting and black and white was pretty good. So yeah.
Guys, I'm absolutely shocked that I like this movie the most, and I like this movie a lot, and I like it way more than I could have ever predicted, knowing just because I knew what this movie was going into it, and I'm shocked genuinely by how much I liked it. I was entertained almost the entire time. I thought the two actors were phenomenal and absolutely carried the movie, obviously, because they are the movie. I thought the script was great. I thought they elevate already great dialogue to a ridiculous degree, and I don't know that I thought it was quite an impactful film, to be honest, by the end of it, and I definitely understand where it could become divisive for some people, and I acknowledge that, but I don't know. I thought the movie had a lot of life, a lot of energy, and it totally exceeded my expectations. So I was very pleased, very pleasantly surprised jumping into this one. So where should we start? I mean, so this is trivia for anyone who hasn't seen the film, right? This is very important to understand. So this was one of the first films to be written, directed, and completed during the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States. And the film stars, you've got Zendaya, you've got John David Washington, and the film is essentially, it's them having an hour and 45-minute long argument in their home. Or not even their home, in this place they're staying in Malibu. And that's the entire movie. It's in black and white. So just from that already, I think it's easy for anyone listening to draw conclusions about what they might feel about the film if they'd be engaged by it in any way. But yeah, I don't know, man. I thought it was super entertaining, and these two characters going back and forth, and the way in which it is essentially just this big long argument, and in a sense, I understand how that can become exhausting, and even I was exhausted at points for sure by it. But at the end of the day, though, the way in which the argument continuously evolves, and you continue to sort of peel back as the audience the layers of the history between these two characters, I thought it was really gripping, and their stories and the dynamics, and every single time I thought, holy shit, this person's clearly right. And then, oh wait, no, now it's swapped again and again and again. And this kept swapping of like who's obviously in the right, or in quotes, obviously in the right, until the end where I was just like, wow, okay, well, that was wild. So yeah, no, that was that's my general thoughts. But what are some of the positives? I really liked the style of the film in black and white, and the opening credits feeling super authentic to, I guess, films of the 40s or 20s. I don't even know. Jane can speak to that, but I assume you enjoy that a lot as well, Jaded, and
Yeah.
the way it's shot generally, yeah.
Yeah, I think like the majority of my positives for the film do come from, the aesthetic side. I think that the house that they chose to shoot in is great. I think the way that it's shot is really brilliant. The way that it's, because there's always a distance between them during the fight, and it's a really great distance because it's never like it's a really heated moment. Like it's not like, sorry, it's heated, but like they're not in each other's faces when they're fighting. They're apart. I really enjoy the way that happens. But like like that's the extent of the positives. Other than acting, I think the acting's really great. But, like for me personally,
Okay.
I think that's kind of like the extent.
Sure. What percentage, if you can narrow it down like that at all, were you entertained? Were the performances, which I think, are
The first
somewhat
40
objectively
minutes,
impressive?
I was down for it. I was like, this is good. I can get behind it. Don't like the arguments.
Okay.
I feel like they're a bit stupid, but for the first 40 minutes, I was like, all right, that's pretty good. And then it just kept on going, because then they get better, and then they'll bring something up again and they start fighting again. It's just such a stupid thing, Get mad, move on. That's how I like to, go about it anyway, Get mad, move on. And the fact that these keep on bringing it up, building and building and building after these moments of, release or where it's meant to be better, it just pissed me off, it just annoyed me to no end. And by the time it pushed, an hour and 20 and then beyond, I was just so bored of it.
Yeah, no, I get it. There's no, yeah, I understand. It's frustrating, dude. I think that's hard to deny. Watching these two people just go in circles effectively, in terms of in circles, in terms of who has the momentum, and just in terms of watching the argument calm down, come back, calm down, heat up, so on and so forth. I agree with you there. I guess just what kept me in was learning about them as we go. Because you walk in, and the only thing I knew about the characters prior was, of course, Malcolm being the film director. And I felt like every argument, while, yes, I understand, oh shit, this is exhausting, we're doing this again. After every single one, when it started to de-escalate, I felt like I learnt more about the characters every time, if that makes sense. One of the earliest reveals is the fact that Marie takes the stance that the film is based on her, and you learn a bit about her past, and her substance abuse issues, etc. And I was like, oh shit, okay, you have my attention. And that just never really let up in terms of then learning about John David Washington's counter to, all the other relationships he's had, and he felt that she was wrong about certain things, and I don't know. It just kept going and going, and I was there for it. But yeah, I think that's really all this is going to come down to. Really, is just how frustrated were you or not, and how did it affect the overall entertainment experience? Because it's really, yeah, it's really funny like that. I can see a lot of people, probably most people, honestly, not liking this movie.
Well, I kind of thought that every time Washington tried to make a rebuttal, it just felt like he was making excuses. I mean, it did feel like the story did come from Marie, so I never really believed in Malcolm's side of the story or anything. And I mean, yeah, there's just a lot of problems with the script and dialogue for me. I feel like the arguments are really repetitive, and I mean, we learn a bit about the characters' past. We don't learn why they're together or why they even love each other. Like, I think a good counter to this would be like Marriage Story, where there are these arguments and these problems, but we actually see through character actions and through sacrifices, that these people do care for each other to some extent and why they care for each other. But here it just seems like arguments that are kind of repetitive and obviously like kind of one-sided and doesn't really, it doesn't really show the other side of the relationship, And I felt like the dialogue was really bad at times as well. I mean, the amount of times they repeated their names to each other was just insane. Like, that was just a really funny part of the
Oh,
movie to me. But yeah,
that's actually a funny random observation. Did you watch it with subtitles on?
Yeah.
for a bit, yeah.
I noticed that too, but I particularly noticed that the name wasn't appearing as much in subtitles. So it's like that was that, or every time they had their name was like ad libbed. It sort of looked like that to me anyway. That's what I noticed. That it was pretty funny. Don't know what the hell that means, but there you go.
I think another issue with the fact that there are so many arguments and it's just that they talk in circles, and then by the end of the film, when you kind of want a result for it, that we're shown nothing. We're showing the two of them together, standing together, looking over the horizon. But like that shows us nothing. It doesn't reward the viewer with anything, happening after this hour and 56 minutes of just tumultuous discussion.
I strongly disagree. I do think I get it, but I think the ending is quite powerful. And what I took away from it was after the depths of constant conflict and arguing and history that we get into between these two characters and the conversations that they have forever. That last little conversation they have in the bedroom before they finally retire for the night, and then they wake up the next morning. But it comes full circle where the argument ends up sort of becoming what it was at the start, which in that sense, I understand. Like, it sort of feels like, well, geez, what was the point of that? But because at the end of the day, it all comes back around to the fact that Marie just wanted to be thanked in the speech, which was how it started in the first place. Marie just tells Malcolm, "Can you just say thank you?" or something to that effect, right? She says, like, "Can you just appreciate me, please? That's all I want." And I thought there was really something special about that, in the fact that in terms of condensing how complicated all relationships are, no matter of their what kind they are, how complex they are, the history that goes back between people of everyone on planet Earth, right? How at the end of the day, resolving the issues between us can just be about being grateful. And that's really what I took away from it. It's just like, dude, we've just gone for an hour and 40 minutes on this, and it's a struggle, and it in some ways represents so many relationships on planet Earth. But all I want is for you to be grateful, and that's it. That's literally it. Please. And he accepts that. They go quietly, and that's it. And that's the final note I sort of took away from the movie, is that no matter the history and conflicts you have with anyone in your life, just be grateful for them. That's what I took away from it anyway. I think, since it is the end of that whole never-ending argument, I think that is the poignant sort of climax to it. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
But the thing, like the argument doesn't start with that. The fact, like she later mentioned, it's because you didn't thank me, isn't it? Like the sort, and that's what annoyed me, because like every time they start a new argument, it's like there's a new reason, and I get like that's just how they're unraveling it, and whatever. But like I mean like there's only it's I guess it's just personal to me. It just annoyed me how they interacted to no end. It just annoyed me like the way that like they like if that's the reason why she was so upset, why she withhold that information until it got to the third bout, reveal that straight away, and then try and resolve that, and that's I think that's a problem for me.
I agree with that, especially when you're thinking about traditional movie structure, but and traditional just film storytelling. But do you think there's a sense of authenticity in that?
I mean, I haven't had a 2-hour fight with a girlfriend before, so I mean, I can't really talk to the authenticity of it.
Well, neither have I, but that's the sense. That's the sense I was getting from it, and I feel like it was drawing inspiration in that way. I did really feel like that because I'm fortunate enough to have not really experienced that firsthand myself, but and I'm not, when I say authentic, I don't mean in terms of like, oh yeah, I've lived that. I don't mean it in that way, but there is a sense of dynamics between characters and in storytelling when you can just feel something. Maybe it is just personal connection, but you can feel something comes from a real place, from a place that people can relate to in some way.
Well, I think the movie did come from a real place. I don't think it came from the real place of a relationship. I feel like what Levinson really wants to talk about through the film is film criticism, and that whole side of it. And I feel like he just threw the relationship in as like as a way to progress the story, because after everything, it always draws back to JDW's movie that he just put out, whatever. It's like that, like even if there's I don't feel like if there is authenticity to the relationship, I still feel like it's second. It's on the second rung compared to, and that's why I didn't really feel because it. What am I trying to say here? Sorry. It didn't feel authentic to me because it felt like it was always second place to the movie, which felt like to John David Washington's movie, which felt like the main.
Yeah, the relationship stuff in the film felt like super manipulative to me at times. Like, I mean, I kind of felt the opposite of what you did, Zach. I kind of felt that, like, Marie's whole thing about, I don't know, how she has a bad past, so she feels like she can't be loved, is just kind of a trope that Sam's throwing in there to kind of add a layer of depth to the relationship there, which isn't actually like there in the. It doesn't feel authentic to me, at least. It feels like he's just kind of throwing that in there to try and like make it feel authentic, but he kind of uses the same thing in Euphoria, but I feel like it's done better there.
It worked for me, but do you think your comparison to Marriage Story is really interesting earlier? I wanted to dive into that, but do you think that a sense of that can come from, in terms of throwing in story elements that don't feel fleshed out, or you're not seeing enough of the other perspective, or any other sort of facet to the argument? Do you think that just does come from the limitations of what the film is in terms of being this? The premise of the movie is this argument's, set in this room, obviously due to COVID sort of thing, like the one setting. Do you think that does place a limitation on the filmmaker in that way? Or do you think if the script was better written, it could have communicated what you were after either way?
No, I think the problem is with the script. I don't know. I just like one of my main problems with it was the whole time I was just thinking that, like, I mean, Malcolm is clearly in the wrong in like most of the situations, and he really had like narcissistic reasons for not, giving Marie thanks or giving her a part in the movie and stuff like that. It always felt like he was just making excuses, and so the arguments didn't really have a two-sided nature to them. And then Marie's side, I just didn't care like that much about. I didn't feel like the effort was put in the script for the audience to care about that. But yeah, the main problem is with just the kind of one-dimensional aspect of Malcolm just being like a narcissist and not really having anything like emotionally or any character depth to have to offer, I guess.
Sure. Okay. That's one of your major issues. The script has come up a lot. I do think the dialogue's awesome, but what else about the script do you think lacks? We've already sort of alluded to Sam Levinson and some issues you guys have in that way. Do you care to expand on that?
I don't know. It's just I just feel like the argument is super repetitive, and it just doesn't go anywhere or do anything, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of where I lay with it, because I think it could have been a great 40-minute short project, but the fact that they recycled the same thing just over and over and over and over of, you don't really do this and that and that. It's, he always talk, oh, it's about the film, it's about the film, it's about the film. It just got tired very quickly. And I think that's one of the main problem with the script for me. It's just that it is just cyclical in terms of that. But also more than that, I just feel like some of the ideas that he's trying to, some of the stuff that Levinson's talking about, just about, the way that critics talk these days and stuff. I mean, criticism's subjective, so people are free to talk how they want, obviously. But like it's, I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a lot of issues there.
So, diving into that, what did you guys take away from? Because that is a significant aspect to the argument itself, and also it sort of has its own. I guess if you want to try and break the film up into acts, I feel like the second act in particular is sort of the part that's like full film criticism, and Malcolm's rant about the review that's posted. How do you guys feel about the way Sam tackles this subject in the movie?
I mean, it feels like there are direct, like seeing the direct parallels between, Sam's own life and Malcolm is kind of makes it seem like it's just Sam speaking for Malcolm, and it doesn't feel like an issue he cares about. It just feels like something that Sam personally was like affected by, and now he wants to put it into his movie. And putting like that speech from Malcolm is like so long, it just gets tiring. It's like it's probably like a full 5 pages or something. You're just ranting, and it doesn't you don't think of it as like authentic, because like it doesn't feel like he cares about the subject. He just really cares about himself, really. Like,
Right. So yeah.
yeah, like he's not coming at from a place of like he's really passionate about films or film criticism. It's about his own ego, you know.
Yeah, and what does that in some way reflect Sam's experiences? You mentioned that has he had experience with this in the past, and in what way? I'm unaware of any of this.
Yeah, he's like he was talking about the woman from the LA Times or something, and he actually did get a bad review from a woman at the LA Times, and like talking about identity and how you can't use other genders or races to reflect your own. Whatever he was saying, like someone said that about him and using female characters in Assassination Nation or something, or his other film. But like, yeah, they were just like direct parallels, and yeah, it's pretty clear that he's talking about himself.
Do you feel similarly, Jaden? Is that anything? Did you take special note of that aspect of the movie too, or?
I mean, essence of it, like I don't know enough about Levinson to draw. Like I don't know about he actually got that bad review, like from the LA Times specifically, like. But there's definitely essences of like that stuff coming through.
Right. I'm baffled by this. I disagree. Like again, I don't know. I love Malcolm's rant on the review, and learning that about Sam, I was unaware of that, and I think that obviously makes it very clear it comes from a personal place. Obviously, that's really funny. But dude, I just think I was engaged by John David Washington's performance the whole time. I thought he has hilarious lines in it, like when he like shits on the reviewer for not understanding film and saying like in the review she mentions like, oh, and he used like a dolly shot, and he's like, it's a friggin' wide shot, or what, it might have been the other way around or whatever, and he's like shitting on her for not understanding what lens is which and stuff. I thought that stuff was hilarious, but I actually totally take the opposite away from that aspect of the movie. And this is me only, again, lacking the personal context of Sam, only taking away what I heard and watched in the movie itself is that Malcolm goes on his rant against film criticism and in that entire aspect of the movie we've just talked about. But and that clearly I tend to agree. It sounds a lot like the Sam sort of venting in that through that character. But it's Marie's dialogue after he calms down from that speaks to me there. And because that's the aspect where he's ranted for 5 minutes, he's calmed down, he's gone, and I think he's lying in her lap at that point, and they're sitting in the living room, and she basically at that point is able to calm him down and say things to the effect of, who gives a shit what these people have to say? Don't worry about it. You do you. And that was obviously ultimate paraphrasing. That would be terrible dialogue. But that was the sentiment of the message that she was giving to him in that moment, in that scene. And in that way, I feel like if I want to apply this, I wasn't, of course, they give this in the moment, but if I want to apply this then to Sam himself, I feel like it's basically Sam learning from perhaps his past experience with the reviews. And in that way, I mean, if he did it in the moment take issue with the review he got from the LA Times, it's sort of actually a reflection of how he's gotten over it, and how he doesn't care about reviews and critics anymore. That's what I took away from the scene for Malcolm. And then if I want, that's me sort of applying that to Sam, which does make sense considering the parallel there.
Mm.
Wait, so what are you saying she said? She said that after he ranted?
Get over it.
She said get over it. Yeah, effectively, yeah. And he did in the moment. He calmed down.
Yeah, but he's not. There's no indication that he's over it. I mean, especially, I don't know. I'm even without knowing that in that scene. I'm saying now with the context of Sam that why I think that scene isn't great, but I think even just watching that, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's about anything other than Malcolm being hurt by a review and then just being angry about it. And I don't exactly know what Murray said afterwards, but it doesn't feel like Malcolm learns anything or comes to accept anything. I mean, maybe he stops talking, but I'm sure he argues about it later again.
Okay. I mean, I think he doesn't. I think that is what I took away from it, is that I think you sort of, for me, from my interpretation of the scene, you captured the first 2/3 of it, and then my addition of the third is the resolution to it. That's what I took away from it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even if it isn't, it doesn't feel like he's learned anything or that he's taken in anything.
No, they don't show that. You're right. I mean, I would argue that that's not really necessary, and that through Marie's counter and his response to it in the moment is enough. But I understand. Yeah, no, they definitely don't explicitly show such development. Did either of you guys find this movie funny? Because I found it very funny.
Yeah, those moments that were funny.
Yeah.
When he's going on about Lego.
The Lego stuff was really funny.
Mm.
I loved Fuck Malibu. I loved the mac and cheese stuff. Yes. I don't know, man. This stuff really landed for me.
For a second, later in the film, does he start just coughing for a bit, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's right.
For a second, I thought Marie poisoned him earlier with the mac and cheese. I was like, oh shit, where'd this come from? And then I was thinking back, and I was like, there was a shot of her pouring something in there. I was like, did she poison him? But I was like, oh no.
That's so funny, dude. I'd give it 5 stars if that were the ending.
Yeah, if Malcolm had just dropped it, that'd be something else.
That'd be awesome. I feel like we've already done a really good job of getting to the heart of our differing perspectives here, to be honest.
Yeah, I reckon too.
So you mentioned earlier you thought that both characters were right in some ways, but I kind of felt that Malcolm was obviously always in the wrong, and I don't know, where did you feel Malcolm was in the right in some of the arguments?
I think that Marie did come across as sort of. To be clear, before I even get into this, I agree with you. I think Malcolm's more in the wrong than not, but I think Marie did come across as somewhat egotistical at points, and I thought some of Malcolm's points were valid in regards to, the stem of her early contention was that she felt the movie was based on her, and I felt what we eventually learn about Malcolm and what he's been through and plenty of relationships he's been in, how they all different and how they're all tragic in their own different ways. I thought that pretty effectively communicated to me that the movie wasn't based on her and that she was wrong about that and that she was sort of self-centered in assuming that.
Really? Because in the
Yeah.
scene where Malcolm actually says that, or lists off the people, like John David Washington is visibly giving like expressions of excuses like on his face. Like he initially mentions like his cousin or whatever because he can't think of anything, and then later he just kind of adds random little like people he's met in his past and stuff. To me, it really doesn't feel like it's he's taking anything from his past. He's just putting Marie in the movie, really. And even earlier in the film, like we know this because we see him acting guilty when like in small moments, but then he comes back and argues later that that's not the case. But like we know he's guilty because we've seen him basically make that confession with his like expressions earlier in the film.
Sorry. What do you mean by that? What expressions?
Like earlier, like when Marie's like done arguing and they're like, yeah, I think it's when after they eat the mac and cheese and he's like actually apologizing. Maybe he does apologize.
Oh, yeah.
I can actually remember. But he basically apologizes to her or is like silent. And it's like in that moment we know that he did rip off, he did take the story directly from Marie.
Or it could just be him trying to de-escalate the situation and not carry on. Which is something that
I really
she
don't
touches on later and saying that
maybe.
he doesn't know how to de-escalate, but maybe that was what he was trying to do from the start.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's all just he says, she says, and it's up to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's
you want to like
for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
because you're drawing from facial expressions, but I didn't personally pick that up. I was much more with
I didn't pick
like
it up
I mean, I think
after each one kind of flipped perspective on who it was.
I can't really remember, but I think he actually there was a moment where he did like actually apologize and admit it. But
I don't think he admits it. He apologizes to her eating the mac and cheese, but he doesn't admit it. And I think after he reveals that information, I think it was rather earnest in the way he told it. I didn't see any moments were lying. It felt like it was genuine in what he was revealing about where he took from where. And I think it's I think it's naive of her to think that he based his entire film upon one person. I mean, it's entirely possible, obviously, but I think after him providing the examples that he did, and then she later again says, "Oh, you didn't thank me," because then people would say it was all my story. The fact that she didn't pick up, the fact that she didn't take on what he said earlier. I think I think in that.
I mean, he takes little moments, pretty much like little moments from the film, from other things he's got from relationships, but the base story.
What that he's
is from her.
The base story is about a druggie. Every third person's a druggie in LA. I mean,
yeah, but from the examples,
similar to the point he makes.
From the examples he's given and like the exact the parallels between Marie's life and the character in the film, I think it's pretty clear. I mean, I never felt that he was like genuinely given another influence other than Marie. It always felt to me like he was making excuses, and I did think he apologized earlier, and he made a confession of guilt like when he apologized. So yeah,
I'd have to rewatch the scene. I definitely do not recall a confession of guilt. He apologized for sure.
Yeah,
I guess it depends how you interpret the that scene. I guess.
I can't believe you're actually talking about rewatching it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I guess that's what you'd have to do to truly understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, it requires 4 viewings before you can really grasp what he's saying.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, another core aspect, regardless of the interpretation of that scene, it just sounds like you didn't really believe him, Fitzy, which is fair enough. I get it.
Yeah. Well,
I get it.
No, I never believed him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he always felt like he was making excuses. I mean, that's what he was doing. So yeah, didn't really have a reason to believe him.
Well, I didn't say this so much as making excuses. It's just that Marie would always start it up, and then he had to rebut, and that's why it always. I feel like that's why you might say it as excuse, because he was always on the back of it, because he was the one that was copying it at first, and then he had to.
Yeah, I'm with Jane on that one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I believed him for those aspects.
But like it's like you said before. I think he's in the wrong, because I think like some of the stuff he does is pretty dumb and sure. That's unquestionable. But like I still think that he's quite right in some moments.
Yeah, but I mean, this is actually this past 5-minute conversation is another aspect I like about the movie, or it's not really another aspect, more just feeds into the aspects I've mentioned already. It's just the fact that lending some credence to the authenticity, this feels like a real complex situation between two people. And as in any real situation, if you know people can, that are, I guess, in conflict at the moment or are arguing or have differences with each other, and people tend to take sides, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. I think it's actually pretty sort of an interesting social uh, exercise, if you will.
Yeah, Levinson's commentating about society. That's what it's really about. Putting Todd
About
Phillips to
society.
shame. Yeah. Like regardless of, because like you see this is elevated in the film, and like I guess that is possible. Like to me, it's just that I think the film falters in so many other areas that I can't. That this does nothing for me. Although I do agree with you that I think if I was in the right mind space, I'd agree with you regarding this film. But like because I'm on like the opposite of it.
Yeah. Well, have we done? Are there any major grievances you have that we haven't touched on yet, Jaden?
It's weird. I think I don't know really how to phrase, because like I think as a writer and a creator, you should be able to write whatever story you want. So I have no issue with Levinson writing a black character. I think that's fine. And I know people disagree with that. They think only black people should write black characters or whatever. But like for me as a creative type, I think you should be able to do whatever you want. But I think my issue comes from the fact that when Malcolm's talking about when Malcolm's criticizing the reviewers, so much of it does come from a race perspective, which Levinson doesn't have. So like that part kind of rubbed me the wrong way,
Oh, right. Yeah, interesting. I guess, yeah, no, I see. I mean, I guess I'd need to know more about his filmmaking process. Maybe he had conversations with other people, with friends, with even John David. I don't know. But I guess I need a bit of a peek behind the curtain there. But in terms of, you're not wrong. Like he is the writer of this film. So I don't know where else you point the blame. Yeah.
I can't even decide for myself if it's a minor or a major problem for me. But like, it's an issue I did take, and then that was.
Yeah, right. I mean, we talked about the visuals. I really appreciate. I felt like the movie was shot in a way that, despite the limitations of the set they were on, like the camera always felt always positioned in a way. I'm not, I'm no cinematographer. I wish I had better ways to articulate, the ways in which things are shot, and that's something I really want to improve. But it always felt like the camera wasn't limited by the space they were in. Shots always felt dynamic and interesting, and they always felt like they were able to pull off what they could, if that makes any sense, given not only the limitations in just the fact they're shooting in this house, which felt like a really real set, by the way, but also the fact that, given COVID stuff, that they have to be careful of who's on set at what time, skeleton crew, presumably social distancing, etc. I think it's quite a feat, honestly, to pull off. Obviously, it is a small scale film, so it's not like they shot like Mission Impossible with this, but I think it's still something to be commended. I thought it was cool.
I mean, like Levinson did start production of this during the pandemic, right? It's not like they were forced to downsize on the stuff. So
no, 100%. It wasn't a surprise, but it's also still quite an interesting production predicament.
Apart from the the details he mentions in the bathroom scene or whatever, is there anything else that like makes you feel like Malcolm is actually like a character or has a different perspective than, or makes you believe in his perspective, I guess? Like, what made you believe in Malcolm as a character, I guess? I don't know, that's kind of a vague question, but
It is. I felt his passion for his film.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. I get. Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind, I guess. And of course, it goes back to the bathtub scene. I believe him there. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think it always comes back to, with the film making, film criticism, or like whatever it is, it always feels like it's just all about Malcolm's ego, not about passion or creation or anything really. So it constantly doesn't make me believe it's him as an actual character. It just makes me think of him more as a stand-in for Sam himself, and him kind of venting, but adding this extra relationship element which he doesn't really flesh out in the script.
Right. I mean, I guess that I didn't get that from it, but I mean, I guess that's can still be very much applicable to my earlier argument about, Marie sort of bringing him around on the whole criticism thing. I think the fact he's a stand-in is still a valid criticism. I can see that regardless of the outcome of the scene. Because no one wants to, obviously, like I've mentioned 100 times, I didn't get it from it, but no one wants to watch a movie where it's so obvious that the writer is just talking to you through the screen, through the dialogue.
That's what it came across as so often, though.
Right, yeah. Well, that's a super valid criticism if you felt that way. For sure, that's no good.
Yeah, I mean, it made me not think of Malcolm as a character, I guess. Along
Yeah.
with the fact that it always comes back to himself and nothing about anything else, even passion or anything, just his own status, his own esteem.
I think I'm good. I've got some trivia about, Malcolm being called Malcolm because of all the connections to the Washington family, but I don't think that's particularly mind blowing. Not much trivia for this one.
5 pieces.
Yeah, that was literally it. Neat. Final verdicts on Malcolm and Marie. Jaden.
4. Yeah, 4. I'm just gonna stick with the gut. It's just I got so like despite what we discussed and how interesting it may have seemed throughout discussion, I just got so bored way too quickly into it. Like I said, had he lopped off 40 minutes and just made this a short project, I think it could have been rather good. But it's just far too dull to actually enjoy.
Fitzy?
I give it 5. Yeah, the main problem is it just doesn't seem genuine to me, the relationship aspect or anything like that. But I feel like I've shit on it a lot. I think it is well made still, and I was entertained to see where it goes, but then seeing that it didn't really go anywhere, or disappointed, but I was still engaged to see where it goes. So yeah, I give 5 out of 10. Yeah.
Cool. I love and hate when this happens, in terms of, I love when we disagree and have long conversations about why, but then it always sort of feels a little, it's never going to happen. It's obviously just the nature of talking about films, which is also awesome about it, but it feels like when we end up at a stalemate of subjective interpretation of what we took away from things, it's just sort of, you can't go anywhere from there. So it's sort of frustrating, but also fun. So that's why, yeah, I'm giving the movie an 8. I thought it was great. I'm shocked. I like it so much. But it's also a film that, to both of your points, I will never recommend this movie to anyone. I cannot with any certainty tell a family member, a friend, whatever, oh yeah, dude, you're going to like Malcolm and Marie, because I don't know. I think majority of people probably won't like this movie. So it's not one that is particularly like a standout in that way. Go check this one out. But I was surprised how much I liked it. That is my main takeaway. Yeah. All right, let's get into a stacked news chat. First of all, we've got The Last of Us HBO television casting confirmed just a few days ago, guys. So we got Last of Us, those who don't know, hit video game franchise. I'm very lucky to be talking to fellow Last of Us fans, which is awesome. But in the role of the two leads, Joel will be played by Pedro Pascal, and Ellie will be played by Bella Ramsey, who you may know as the lady, I don't know, Lyanna Mormont.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I got it right. I'm so proud of myself. From Game of Thrones, the little northerner girl who's great, that everyone likes. That's who we got for Joel and Ellie. I'm gonna throw it out there. How do we feel about this?
I quite like the casting of Bella Ramsey. I think she was a good choice. She never crossed my mind when we were first talking about it, but I think that she can play it well, especially comparing her attitude in of the character she played in Game of Thrones to Ellie. I think that could fit quite well. But Pedro Pascal, I'm not as excited as about. Not because I doubt his abilities as an actor or anything like that, but because Joel to me has always been very all American. In his hey kiddo, and in the way he acts and stuff, and I'm sure Pedro Pascal can pull that off easily because he's a great actor. But that's yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in his casting. So
Yeah, no, I sort of feel a bit similarly. I'm not. This casting news doesn't particularly excite me at all. I hesitate to say I'm disappointed just because I don't know what casting news would have got me excited. It's just casting news, whatever. Like I'm not into it, but I'm gonna watch the show and I'll probably end up liking it. So it's just like at this point in time, like trying to picture these two in those characters' roles is just impossible for me, and just leads to me sort of going, oh no. But
I mean,
when I see it on screen,
Pedro Pascal is just going to play the Mandalorian. Like that's all it is. It's just he's playing the same character pretty much. The reluctant carer.
oh sure, yeah.
And
I mean, in that sense, yeah.
I feel like the Mandalorian went a big way in influencing the decision there, but yeah.
It might have. Yeah, I saw a funny YouTube comment that was something to the effect of Pedro Pascal is taking on a lot of single dad roles lately. He does the same in Wonder Woman. Yeah, it's really
Oh,
funny.
does he?
Yeah. Sorry, Fitzy, what do you think about it? What's going on?
It does seem weird now that I've thought about it. It feels a bit like the Tom Holland Uncharted thing.
Yeah,
where
it does actually.
like
It's a good call.
it doesn't seem he doesn't feel as like just sturdy as a character as those characters are. Kind of tough characters, but yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he'll do a good job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they'll do a good job. It's another situation where I've just got to try and it goes for all of us, just try and, I guess, in some way get over or adjust the perspective of Joel we have. Because, I mean, I'm not excited for this show whatsoever, but like, it's not a book thing, it's not like reading a book and then watching the movie. Like, I have spent like upwards of 30 hours with Joel as a character, you know what I mean? And watching him and his facial intricacies and his line delivery, like in the graphics that look lifelike, you know what I mean? And then like trying to replicate that with an already world famous actor, it feels jarring, it just does. And it is the Tom Holland thing 100%, Fitzy. I agree with you.
I wouldn't mind if Pedro Pascal is just there and then Nolan North dubs over. Nolan North is the voice of Joel, right?
No, Troy Baker.
Troy Baker? Oh shit. Who's Nolan North
Yeah.
then?
He's Drake.
Oh,
You're on the right track.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, regardless.
Nolan.
I'd love
Yeah,
Troy Baker to dub the lines then.
that'd be great. No, it wouldn't. That'd be terrible. But hey, like I said, I'm gonna watch this for sure, and I hope I like it. And it's probably, knowing me, gonna end up being in a Ahsoka situation where I'm like, I don't know about this, and then I love it now. I hope that turns out to be true. Next up, we got, I don't know how you guys are gonna react to this, but we got Disney shutting down Blue Sky Studios. This is the animation house responsible. They were owned previously by Fox, and Disney acquired Fox. Disney has now just shut it down, this animated studio. We know them for their works on Ice Age, Rio, beloved franchise Rio, and of course, near and dear to our hearts, it's in effect Robots.
So you need villain.
So you need villainy. Did I just hear a tear shed on your end, Fitzy? I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Didn't know this. Didn't know this.
Yeah. So this is happening. They're done. I mean, it's like fairly big news, I guess, in entertainment.
What was the last thing that Blue Sky put out?
It was Spies in Disguise.
Oh, wasn't that Tom Holland as well?
Yep.
Yeah. Studio killer.
Oh, wow. Are you suggesting that Tom Holland is oversaturated?
I wasn't, but the fact that you say it now, like, he very much is. Yeah.
I mean, he's in Chaos Walking too, because I was thinking he's in Cherry.
He's in everything now.
Yeah, Uncharted, Spider-Man. Okay, I'm like, already, that's a lot.
Onward, Devil All Time. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
God damn it, Tom. Just piss off with you. Honestly. He's really good, though, so I can't really complain yet. Until he fails me. He's probably going to fail me as Nate, isn't he? That's what it's going to be. And you're going to get Mark Wahlberg in as Sully, and that's what's going to really drive the dagger into the heart.
Oh, Uncharted, yeah.
What's wrong with Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg's great. It's just such a weird Sully choice.
Wait, he's going to be Sully? Oh, that's so bad.
I love how we've had this conversation before. Yeah, but it's so true though. Like, it resonates.
That's actually so bad. Oh my god.
It's like not Mark. It's like the furthest thing from Mark Wahlberg, dude.
Yeah.
It's like Mark Wahlberg, dude. If they said Mark Wahlberg was the villain, I'd be like, "That's awesome." But then, why is he Sully? Like, get an old dude as Sully, and get Mark Wahlberg as the villain. That'd be fun. I'd like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a lot of experience with Uncharted, but isn't Sully like Nathan Drake's mate?
Yeah.
And like I've seen very limited gameplay, but like Sully has always struck me as like a little bit of a joker, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's a charismatic dude. Yeah, for sure.
Personally, to me, I feel like Wahlberg could fill that. I guess I just don't have the same. I haven't had the same amount of time with him, I guess, but from the show
but that's
that I have, Wahlberg seems like he did quite well.
No, that makes sense on paper, but it's just like, I don't know, just like watching Sully for so long, I never get a Mark Wahlberg vibe at all. Like, Sully's grizzled, and he's...
Yeah. I think Wahlberg is more like offensive humor. I'm not offensive, but like, he's like trying to rile up the other person.
Sure,
Sully's just more like generally funny old guy.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, Sully definitely doesn't try and rile anyone up. No, definitely not. He's just like, got cool, quippy one-liners while they're shooting people. It's never like confrontational in any way.
Do you reckon Tom Hanks could play Sully?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Something like that, Tom Hanks or something.
Yeah. Or like Sam Elliott or someone,
Oh, yes. That'd actually be, that'd be good.
We have a flurry of Super Bowl spots and trailers for you. So there was a trailer for M. Night Shyamalan's new movie called Old. And
was that a Super Bowl spot? Or was that just a...
Yes. No, it was a Super Bowl spot, yeah.
I thought it just dropped.
So how do you feel about it, Jane? I need you to tell me about it. What is this movie? Do you have any idea from 30 seconds?
It's a weird beach, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be something where like characters age faster than they should when they go with a certain position and they got to figure something out. I don't know. Like that's what the trailer shows us. But like the trailer didn't do much to sell me. In all honesty, it seemed rather dull. But Shulman's pretty great at subverting expectations. So
that's for sure.
Yeah.
My favorite part of new M. Night movies is that he's a total mixed bag. Like, you don't know what you're going to get at all. Like the movie could conceivably be the best movie ever made or total garbage and anywhere in between. And I find that sort of exciting. Like, you just got no idea. It's not like a Scorsese where, like, sure, you can appreciate him on different levels, but you're getting a fairly, quality picture here, It's not like that.
When you've got a scale to work with of Last Airbender to Sixth Sense, it really does encapsulate all that. So I mean, like,
yes,
but he hasn't really. I mean, he's kind of been on a downward slope his career, I guess. I mean, he made really good stuff at the start, but
I quite liked Split and Glass, and I didn't mind The Visit.
Yeah, I mean, Split was a script that he wrote when he was actually good, but
yeah. So we have to learn if the old script, when it was written. If it was written in the 90s, this movie's going to be awesome.
Well, exactly. I think like was The Visit and the Glass script written more recently then, or were they still old? Because I think they were still like moderately successful, and I think they were still like rather not overwhelmingly liked. But I think there was a positive bias.
Yeah, I mean, Glass was pretty good. It was okay.
I liked Glass, but like I can tell you for sure it was a modern script just by watching it. Like the ending was sort of, I liked it. It was sort of weird.
Yeah, compared to like The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, like that is like top tier.
Oh, Unbreakable's amazing. God, I love that movie. Raya and the Last Dragon had a TV spot. This movie's coming to the Mulan thing again, so you can pay a shitload of money on Disney Plus to watch it if you want.
We can watch it, can't we?
Yes, we can. That's correct. My apologies. Yes, I actually completely forgot about that. But there's something about the dragon in this movie, Jaden. I you sent me a photo. I saw it. Is this gaining a bit of controversy online?
I don't think it's as that image is the only one I've seen where like people are slandering it, but like it deserves to be slandered because it really is shit looking. Like,
yeah, it's not great.
No,
it's not great. Like the My Little Pony comparison's definitely valid. I see that.
Yeah, I like you got a team of $1 million animators or whatever working on this project, and that's what they come up with. I mean, who am I to talk shit, but still.
Did either of you actually watch The Spot though?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, what'd you think?
it's nothing new. If you watch a 2-minute trailer that was released like a few months ago, it's the same thing.
Oh, sweet, okay. Any of you guys watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer?
No.
Awesome. Okay, I did, but I've got literally nothing to say about it, so I'll just I'm still excited.
Well,
but
did
it's nothing,
it?
so.
Is that the one where Zemo's coming back as the main villain?
Yeah.
I quite like him as a villain. I know a lot of people didn't and found him underwhelming, but I appreciated him.
I didn't like him at all, but this is my thing. Like, I'm interested in this show 100%, and I'm going to watch Civil War again before it because I've only seen Civil War once in the theater, and I feel like that's going to be my real going into this show thing I need to do. So maybe I'll switch on him. I don't know. I remember one scene with him in it, but I guess he was in the movie a lot if he's the villain.
No, I mean he really wasn't. He was more. He was just a catalyst for the conflict of the Avengers to take place. So like he was present, but he wasn't a villain to the degree that Loki or Thanos was present.
Sure. Well, maybe this will be his time for that then.
The villain of Civil War was hate and not loving each other. Not
and fear.
Yeah, fear. Yeah, hate and fear.
Anger. Yeah, suffering.
Yes.
Sonic 2's coming out. It's coming out like literally in 12 months, 13 months or something, like stupidly quick. Jane, you watched the first one. Does this do anything for you?
Not really. I mean, the end of the first, like there's a credit scene in the first one that shows you that they were setting up for this. It was no surprise it's coming out. Maybe a bit surprised considering box office performance, but it's not like a shock. Like, oh my god, there's another two. But I don't know. The first one was a bit of fun. It's like I mean, I like James Marsden. He's cool. Sonic's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it in theaters, but I'll watch it in 2 years after it comes out on TV. So
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've got to do for the first one. I'll do that. Yeah. Is Jim Carrey a bit of a laugh? Because that's the vibe I got from the trailer.
Oh yeah, Jim Carrey. He gave some of the best moments in the movies. In the movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. You haven't seen it, have you, Fitzy?
No, I have not. Unfortunately.
Cool. Well, I'm excited that Tails is around now, though. I mean, I guess that's a spoiler, but he's in the poster.
See the red one?
No, it's the yellow one.
No, that's Knuckles. Yeah, he's the yellow one.
Oh, yellow?
Yeah. The yellow dude with the tail? He's got the spinny tail?
No, I didn't know there was a yellow one. The heck?
He's like the Luigi to Sonic.
So he's not a version of Sonic with different fur, like yellow fur?
No,
he's a different animal.
Oh, okay.
He's a fox, not a hedgehog.
Yes, yeah.
Hmm.
Need to get up with your Sonic lore.
Wait, what's his name?
Sonic's...
Tails.
Yeah.
Did you never play one of the 300 Sonic games on the Wii? Alright, now it's time for our highlights of the week. I have been watching very little, so Jaden, what have you been watching? Very little as well. I watched Let's Scare Jessica to Death, which is a 1971 horror movie. I can't remember who directed it, but it was an interesting experience watching it because I was expecting it to be like a B-grade exploitation type flick, just based off the poster and the poster I've seen that kind of in that genre. But then the moment it starts, it's pretty evident that it's not that it's trying desperately not to be that. But then by the time it comes around to the end, it kind of does fall into that a bit. So it's an interesting journey when watching the film, and I think when it first starts and it shows you that it's not going to be, one of those kind of schlocky type, horror films, I was quite into it, but it quickly turns rather dull, and then it just becomes a bit of a slog to the end. And it was still a decent watch, and I think it's probably one I'd recommend to horror fans, but not one that I'd recommend to anyone else.
Right, okay. So not for me, I guess.
No, definitely not. Actually, knowing you might like it. Might. That's
not very helpful, but what about you, Liam?
Boys State is my highlight. It's this documentary about these boys who create this state.
Right.
Hence the name Boys State. But no, it's this social experiment kind of thing where all these like 1,000 boys from Texas have to make their own government, and like based on the Texas system or whatever, Texas government. So they have their own they have the two parties, and they have to like elect a governor for each party. And yeah, the boy, they all like run for office and like or the second position, and try and sell themselves based on their principles and political leanings and all of that. And yeah, basically it focuses on like 4 or 5 characters in the film who are pretty important, and it's really great because it kind of has a 3-act structure, because it's like it's there's a winner at the end, and so like the first third is about like the second guy who can help the governors, and then the second part is about like the governors, and then the third part is about like actually who wins. I wish the film did focus on the other side a bit more, and the other character who becomes governor. They really like don't focus on him at all, and that kind of sucks. But yeah, apart from that, it's really great. It just kind of it's kind of a character. Well, they're not characters; they're people. I shouldn't say that, but you just get to watch these kind of interesting teenagers, people, and it's commentary without being commentary, because it's real. So you just get to see what's up, pretty much. So yeah, a lot
Is
of
it
fun.
recent?
Yes, it's a 2020 film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That sounds really interesting.
I got Apple for a week and cancelled it, so I should watch some shit there.
The existence of
Neat.
Apple TV pisses me off. There's so many things that are going there now. It's just another subscription service.
Get used to it, mate. There's going to be more. There's going to be more. Get so excited about it. As always, now we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, do you prefer, I definitely didn't forget, do you prefer watching movies alone or with other people? Was the question. Andy said, even though 95% of the movies that I've seen was watched by myself in my room, I'd much prefer to watch films with other people. It's just really admirable to be able to experience the similar emotions with other people in a dark room, and for me, the aspect of watching films is fascinating. Luke said, I prefer to watch... Oh, thank you, Andy. That sounded like I was just totally giving him the cold shoulder. It's like, I was just going to move on quietly. I appreciate you, Andy. But Luke's got a similar answer, so we're going to dissect him afterwards. Luke said, I prefer to watch as a group. There aren't really any movies which would have my undivided attention when watching. If people make a dumb joke or comment, I don't really mind. It's also nice to get together and discuss a film for about an hour. If only there was a podcast which discussed movies every single week. If only there weren't about 2 million podcasts like that, Luke. But we appreciate the shout out, of course, to our show.
In our own comments.
In our own comments, yes. We'd much prefer if, you'd actually gone to another show and said, a great podcast, The Cinema Effect. We appreciate the kind words, of course, as always. What are our answers to this particular question? I know I'm all for the group experience. I'm all for the social experience.
I don't really mind, I guess. I mean, I don't usually go to theaters alone, but that's probably just because I don't live close to theaters. But yeah, I think I'm with Andy. Like, I watch most stuff alone, and if there's a person around there, that's nice, and they're clean, then maybe I'll give them a shot. So yeah.
Jaden, yeah.
It depends on the people. I mean, I love watching movies with my mates. Like it's like Andy said. I appreciate the dumb comment. I was a speak. Like I appreciate the dumb comments. Every now and then. And watching a movie with your mates, puts you in a good mood and you really engage. But then watching with my family is like a horror show, because like it's just not stop talking. And it's always, like my mom's particularly bad, because she's always like she gets very anxious when watching movies, so she's always talking. She's always asking questions, and like questions that I don't even know. Because she's like, "Oh, what happens to him? What happens to that?" And it's like I don't know. I'm watching this for the first time too, and it's watching a movie like with other people, like it does depend, but I do tend to prefer it.
No, for sure, for sure. No, it's definitely subject to everything, like the film, the location, the environment, the people. Yeah, of course, absolutely. But yeah, as a general rule, I do prefer it. There's something about when it all clicks. It's this very weird thing. I guess we're sort of getting philosophical with our social ideologies, but of when you're in an environment and sometimes it's just clicking. Like the people around you are speaking just enough and saying just the right things where you're like, this is great. And then, but like, you can be pushed too far, all those different things. It's just really hard to you can't even manufacture it. It just happens. But yeah, no, when it lands, when it clicks, which, yeah, no, it's really fun. I really enjoy this, like, yeah, making stupid comments. And because I do like, watching shit as sort of a social experience, especially like TV shows, like, I know there's only, when you're invested in a story that long and the characters sort of become part of the household to you in a lot of different ways, it's sort of just fun to throw shit out there. It's pretty funny. But yeah, that was sort of an unintentionally slightly deeper question than I anticipated. I didn't want to reveal anyone's loneliness at all or level of loneliness. That wasn't my goal. Wasn't our goal, but maybe we did that. I don't know. We love everyone out there. If anyone wants to, I'm just saying, this got nothing really to do with anything. If anyone feels lonely at any point, anyone listening to the show, feel free to reach out to me. I'll chat to you, if you're feeling a bit down, anytime, about anything. I'm not saying dox me, like Jaden very nicely pointed out the other week when I might have doxed myself. But hey, if you want to chat about anything at any point, you can reach out to me. If you have my phone number, give me a call. If you don't, then you're not worth my time.
I'll drop in the comment section for people that need it.
Yeah, there you go. Do that. That's fine too. All right. That's it for
Wait,
this week's episode.
we're just gonna make it clear that this offer only
Yeah.
applies to Zach only. Do
Yeah,
not reach out
okay.
to me. Do not reach out to Jaden. We don't want to talk to you. Okay, it's Zach only.
Thank you. That's very important. Yes, I'm happy to talk to you if you want someone to talk to. All right. Thank you. That's very important. You're absolutely right. That's it for this week's episode. Fitzy, what are we tuning into next week?
So we did an Instagram poll, a little Instagram poll last week, a couple days ago, between Zach's choice, 12 Years a Slave, and Jaden's Rush, both 2013 films, coincidentally. And we had a winner of the poll, as you do. One movie got more votes than the other movie, so it won. And that was 12 Years a Slave. That one. So yeah.
I want to make this a thing where I go on a streak of wins in the polls. Okay.
You have to forfeit your vote eventually. So
No, true. No, absolutely. But for every poll I'm on, I'm determined to
win. No. You know what we should do? The winner gets to, remain.
Yeah.
The winner gets
to
like King of the Hill or whatever. Like basketball.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's like our polls, apart from just adding audience interaction, actually becomes like a metagame in Cinema Effect lore. King of the Hill Instagram polls.
Yeah. So Jane's kicked out now. So it'll be between you and me next time.
I like that. We'll give it a go. I am concerned that at some point it might just become like a popularity contest so you can just choose the more popular movie.
Well,
that is a concern. That's a concern. But
yeah, that's true.
I also just want to keep going until I lose, and then we'll go from there. Yo, did you say it was on what it was on, Fitzy?
No. Why do you assume I said that, Zach?
It's on Stan. There you go. All right, sweet. Thank you guys for joining me this week. As always, thank you to the people for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you, everyone involved. Give yourselves a pat on the back every now and again. I know I'm doing it right now, just so you can picture. It's a bit cringe, but anyway, have a great rest of your week and goodbye.